Welcome to the Nonac Exchange, where we turn Canyon City around for a fresh perspective on the conversations that matter. From city projects and community programs to the people behind the scenes, this podcast is your connection to the work happening every day to serve our community. Thanks for tuning in. Let's begin the exchange.
I'm Ryan Stevens. I'm the city administrator for Canyon City, and today we are introducing a new podcast from your city government. We have had the opportunity to think about doing this podcast, and with the prompting of Councilmember Jeremy Reeves, we were able to get it kickstarted. Jeremy, why do you think podcasting is such a viable idea for getting information out to the public?
The public needs informed, and they need informed in an entertaining way to where they actually engage with it, to where they'll want to know what's going on in their city government.
Every other week, we will be putting out a podcast that is going to have interviews with council members. It will have department spotlights. It will have upcoming events, both for the city and around the community, and upcoming council dates, along with any other information that may be relevant for the community.
That's the goal. To add to the success that I would want with this podcast would be that people are making this part of their daily watching, so that people actually know what their city does for them and what the people do for them. I think that the staff are really underappreciated, and the facilities and the services that are maintained and provided are underappreciated, I think, from my perspective, my short time on council.
I think one of the biggest challenges about getting information out to the public is there's a lot of noise out there, and there's so many different things that are going on, not just with the city government, but in people's own lives. So, finding other ways to engage with people is really important, and this is another opportunity to put this information out there that may catch somebody in a venue that they don't usually fall in.
For the average person, they're not going to watch multiple hours of council to try to get informed. But if we can put a condensed version together that is awesome, that people are wanting to watch, I think they should make it part of their normal YouTube and Facebook schedule of what they're watching.
So I want to welcome you today. We are talking to get to know the council members a little better and the mayor, and I'm going to be visiting with Jerry Meloni, which I'm really looking forward to. We sit beside each other in the council meeting, but often we don't get a chance to share back and forth. And so, Jerry, the first thing I'm going to do is wish you happy birthday. I see it's your birthday today, so.
Yeah, I was trying to keep that a secret, but thank you.
It's now going to be out for all of the people.
Yeah, there's no secrets on Facebook, so everyone knows everything.
Yeah, they do, but... how long you lived in Canyon City?
I believe I moved here around 1991. I moved up to Texas Creek. My mother had bought a house up there, so I came to visit.
Mm-hmm.
But I had moved back to New York a couple times, back and forth a few times, but probably since 1992, 93, I've been here pretty solid. Spent 1 year in Denver about 10 years ago.
Yeah, very good. I've said I was going to ask about your golf game because I think you're going out to play golf today on your birthday. I would think so.
I played yesterday. I don't think it's in the cards today.
Okay, very good. And you want to share what your average is or your scores?
Oh, I'm a pretty average golfer, but I'm fun to play with.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the point is that council members are human beings, and we all do stuff, and we live in the community and do fun things. So what's your favorite things to be doing in the community besides golf?
Well, I mean, can I tell a story?
You can tell a story.
Public service?
Yeah,
and everything?
absolutely.
So I think it started in 2005, where I really got interested in serving Canyon City and really liked living here and liked the community. I hosted a business after hours at a mortgage company I had out on the east side of town, and immediately got recruited to join the Prospectors, which was an arm of the Chamber of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
So shortly after that, I ended up running the business after hours for the Chamber of Commerce, because any good volunteer organization recruits people, and then they get those people to take over the people that want to get out. So that's just how it works. From there, ended up being on the chamber board, ended up being chamber president. And then that was really where I felt like I had a pretty good handle on the business community in Canyon City.
Yeah.
And all since then, I've just been completely dedicated to trying to improve the business environment in Canyon City, which includes jobs and opportunities and all of that good stuff. And I've been in the real estate and mortgage business for over 30 years now. In 2013, I ran for city council and was elected. I beat the outgoing mayor, Frank Jaquez, who I think has passed away, rest in peace. But him and I ended up becoming very good friends. We hung out at Constantino's with Gus, who has also passed away. So him and I had a lot of great conversations about city council. Unfortunately, my wife's job took us away, so I had to resign from city council at the end of 2014. Moved back in the beginning of 2016, and there was an open council seat, a vacated seat, which I did not get picked for. However, I did get assigned to the Planning Commission and ended up serving as Planning Commission chairman for about 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
The point of this story is I feel a lot of people say, I don't like the way council voted on this, so I'm going to run for city council and I'm going to make changes.
Mm-hmm.
But what a lot of people don't understand is you got to put the time in, you got to do the work, you got to become electable, and you got to become ingrained in your community. And I've done a lot of that for the last over 20 years in this town. And so that's what I like most about Canyon City.
Yeah, very good. I've been here, I'm in my 10th year in Canyon City. Absolutely love it. It's a place that I want to be, and I've tried to dive in. I'd had experience, I was a county commissioner years back in Michigan, and that was a good experience for me. And I was involved with leadership issues on a lot of different fronts of bringing people together. And that's kind of my MO for trying to do this stuff. And so when I came to Canyon, I was following the council right away and what was going on here, and decided that I saw some things that I thought I could be helpful with, and took the dive as well. People may be aware I ran against Preston in 2023, and Preston and I had lots of coffees together, and good man, and thank him for his service. And I know we have different styles and everything, but I continued, and here I am as the mayor, and I'm happy to be that and enjoying it. And I love Canyon City, and there's a lot of, I'll see what you think about this, but there's a lot of new people moving into Canyon City as well. I used to be involved with the department here, and almost everyone that was coming in were outside of Canyon City coming in. So I don't know what that percentage is as far as Canyon City natives, but there's just a lot of new blood, and that's good for a community as far as I'm concerned as well. What's your thoughts on that, with people moving in and, you know, the vibrancy of a community as in this changing, constantly changing?
So it's weird to say because I wasn't born and raised here, but a lot of my friends and colleagues were born and raised here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back 30 years, there was this, you always hear the good old boy mentality. So there's a mixture of some of the old school Canyon City residents that still volunteer, still are involved. And then there's a whole bunch of new people that are here. And it's a pretty good mix right now.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it keeps us healthy, and I've got lots of friends who have been here for a very long time as well, even born and raised, and I'm thankful for them. And we've got new people who have just moved in the last year that are really contributing to the community as well. And so all of that brings us together, and you have to navigate the change and figure that out. So, yep, I agree.
Mayor Lund, what do you find most appealing to serving on council and being the mayor of Canyon City?
There's a lot of things. Working with people, I enjoy that. And my own philosophy on that is that the elected official is there to represent the citizens to the government. And I'm really committed to making sure that I keep that perspective, that the citizens need to have a voice and to be there. And there's a balance with all that. Certainly as the mayor and council member, there are times you're speaking for the government, and in fact, per our charter and everything, that's what a mayor is supposed to be doing, as well as representing the government to other governments and just having that voice. But I'm really committed to focusing on citizens to the government. And so as a result of that, I'm speaking at various things. I've got a speaking engagement coming up with Rotary. I've spoken to a lot of different things, and all of that connection part of, that's what I really enjoy, is the connection with citizens and figuring out where they're at. And that includes social media and trying to represent that voice, not always successfully, but represent that voice. And Ryan and the city administrator and I meet on a weekly basis, and it takes a while for a working relationship to develop, but I actually think we're we're getting that there as well. So we both can speak frankly with one another and where we're going, and we're responsible for kind of putting together the agenda. And those are good things. And I think we can get Canyon City on a positive trajectory. And the thing is that means we're making changes that are positive. And I'm in alignment with you, Jerry, on the business thing. That is one of my big passions, is how to make Canyon City more business friendly. And so you and I are completely alignment on that as far as a priority.
In your opinion, what does city council actually do?
You know, in America, we have the federal government, we have the state government, and we have local government. And in my mind, it is the local government that is closest to the people, and you can actually do things. And there's a lot of things that individual households, individual people can't do because they don't have the scale to do it. But when you come together as a community, you've got scale to make things happen. And some of those are requirements like law enforcement. You're going to have law enforcement for protection, those kind of things. But you also can do things that are quality of life issues like parks and things like that. And so then you once you have the government, which of course is going to happen, we have local governments, but then you elect people to actually represent the citizens in the operation of that stuff, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's the parks, whether it's economic development, whatever that is. And I think that's what council is supposed to be doing, is to have their finger on the pulse of citizens and to represent that to the government as far as doing it. And you got all the hiring issues and everything else, and there's the legal component. But I think what the 21st century, we just cannot lose the component of the council representing citizens to the government and to deal with that. And we've got a whole host of issues, as you well know, serving on the council. But for people who may be listening to us, we deal with all kinds of stuff. And I've kind of stuck my head out there, and I get hit with just all kinds of things that I hadn't thought about that we're dealing with as far as city government. Ryan and I, we've got a list that we work down through when we're meeting. And so it deals with just a whole host of stuff. We're not the state government. We're not the federal government. We are the local government. We're supposed to be closest to the people, and we can make a difference in our community. And that's what city council needs to be about, I think. What are your thoughts about it?
So a lot of city council's job is, there is a lot of minutia. There is a lot of running the government, running the day-to-day operations, approving budgets, approving expenditures. And then the flip side of the coin is then coming up with new ideas and trying to pass new ordinances and always for the benefit of the community. So it's a real balancing act between making sure that our citizens have the services that they need and that we're running a tight budget and we're doing the proper things, but then also at the same time trying to improve situations for our residents. Yeah.
And, you know, we're having diverse voices on the council too, right? We don't always agree, and that's a good thing. I am, as the mayor, I do see my role as different than the council's. It's different in the charter. It's just a different role. And, you're not trying to blend in to be a council member. You're the mayor, you're the council, and those are two different roles, and we got to figure those out. And then you have the city administrator in there, and that dance of figuring out those relationships are something. There's a lot of, this is an important topic because there's a lot of confusion about the various roles of local government. So, for instance, the fire district, which we just heard a fire department truck going by just now, they've got their own separate board and they do their own thing. And then you have county government that is in there, and we have Fremont Sanitation that is in there. And there's lots of different roles that people play, including the rec district, which we've had so much discussion. And having an understanding of how all that, the separate roles that they play, but then the intermingling of those roles as well, is something that takes a while to figure out. And you serving on the planning commission, and those are the government stuff. The chamber plays a big part, as you well know, and all those organizations, and it's together making a community work, and it's not easy.
No, it's not. And then you end up with a lot of misinformation because everyone doesn't understand whose role is what all the time.
Yep.
So you hear things and immediately you blame the city, right? Mm-hmm. And it could have nothing to do with the city.
Right. And I know the Chamber of Commerce, again, I applaud them that they're putting together a leadership program that's starting this fall, and they're dealing with a lot of different segments, including governance and economic development. And the more we can get that out, certainly the better.
So, Mr. Mayor, pertaining to other government entities, specifically the Recreation Parks District, how do you feel that they play into our local city government? How do they differ from us?
Well, the historic part of that, and I wasn't around when it was, but most people weren't because it was 50 years ago and the city's changed so much during that time. But they started out having a specific mission, and others to build a pool in Canyon City. They successfully did that, and they ran it for 53 years, I think was the number on that. The city got involved with the pool issue because of just some taxing issues as far as what they can do and what they can't do and what the rec district can't do. And I do think it created a lot of confusion in people's minds as far as the various roles. The rec district has a clean role, and they've got a separate board that is elected, I think, in May of every other year that they put together. And they have independence that they need to have and recognize. The city government has a different role. We really we're not in the pool business. The rec district is in the pool business until that changes. But then there's also the agreements that are done. So you were on the council when this intergovernmental agreement was put together, and that's just an agreement between relationship between governments, and here's the rules of the game that we're integrating. But I think it's important for citizens to recognize that the council is elected separately, the mayor's elected separately, they have their individual roles, the rec district has its individual boards and their own budgets. Our budgets are not even dealt with on the same tier. They do theirs, we do ours, and there just is a distinction. And if we are going to cooperate, you put in a formal arrangement like an intergovernmental agreement that shares the rules of the game between the two. But they're two very different organizations with two very different missions. So there's a lot of things that citizens probably they turn on their water faucet and it's there, and they call 911 and the police responds. I don't know if we take it for granted, but people have expectations. You want to talk about that as far as how you see citizens and their expectations for really basic kind of services?
Well, I think you just said it. I think we turn our faucet on, we flush our toilets and water our grass, maybe not now, but usually. And we do take that for granted because we don't realize what goes into keeping those systems working, especially in an old town like ours where we're constantly having to make repairs and upgrade infrastructure. It is a big, big job to keep that water flowing in our town. Same with law enforcement. That's part of our job as council and mayor and staff, is to make sure we have adequate law enforcement. And I think the past year or so, we've really done a much better job retaining and recruiting officers. Sometimes that's hard to see from the public's eye because we always go back in time 5 years when maybe things weren't so great, or we complain about, parking enforcement, or we complain about these other things, but it's a constantly moving pendulum, I guess, of retaining and recruiting qualified people for all of those departments.
Yeah. I just talked to the captain last night. We were at a common meeting, and he says we're down by 6 officers at this point, and I know that's a constant thing that they certainly have to be dealing with. And so when you talk about expectations, these are employees, and I think we have 175 employees that are in city government, and you have constant turnover, and there's always, I see all the time that there's a new posting because there's a new position, somebody's went on to a different job, et cetera. And it's somewhat of a business, and I know you're a business guy, and you and I, if I could just talk about that a little bit more, because you had a post out about business and the relationship, and so how do you see the police, the water department, do you see that as we need to function more like a business, or do you see government different than that? Just your perspective on that.
Yeah, so that post was basically saying, even though we're a government entity, we still have to make money and we still have to pay the bills. So just like running a business, you still have to figure out that balance between services, salaries, and then keeping the proper people in their positions.
Yeah.
So just like my business, you have talented people that you don't want to leave, but you also have to be, you also have to follow the rules.
Yeah.
But you want to retain the people that you like and the talented people in city government as well as private business. And you want to make sure you stay within budget, and you want to make sure that you're profitable or at least break even on a government.
Yeah, and this one, different than a normal business, which has stockholders. We have stakeholders, and they're the citizens, and everything has to be done transparently, which I'm 100% for. But you do get a position where everybody wants to say this is how it should be done and to figure out how to do that. So when we're dealing with law enforcement, every citizen has a say about that, and decisions need to be done transparently. And it just is different than running a business, and yet we have budgets and they have to be met, and we have even income taxes that are going up and down. Tourism's down at this point, and I would assume that's going to affect our sales tax. And so it's a complicated thing. Anybody who thinks that this is easy is probably not completely paying attention to how difficulty. And then you have laws that are out there from federal government and the state government that you have to be in compliance with, and making sure you're following the charter. And I commend the council there's just a lot of details that you have to get into for limited time that you have to put into it.
Yeah, and I truly believe, on the same note of running a business, you got to keep reinvesting in your community. You can't assume that everything is going to be status quo. You can't assume tourism, for one. We can't assume that that's just going to keep us afloat year after year after year. We have to keep reinvesting, and we have opportunities in front of the city to generate more sales tax revenue, to generate jobs in housing. We do have a development east of town that could fulfill all of those needs in a short period of time. And that's where I get a little aggravated when I don't see the 100% support that other communities give to other developments, contractors that are wanting to come in and create some activity. We got to keep the activity going in Canyon City.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And based on my history, there is no static, no changing situation. You're either going up or you're going down. But you get into patterns like this. And I went through a number of recessions where the joke is always the last one out, turn out the lights. And I was in public office and dealing with that kind of stuff on an economic development basis as well. And I can tell you that is a lot more difficult to deal with, the spinning down than the spinning up. And I would rather be dealing with the growth issue and how do we manage that than I would be people are leaving faster than they're coming in, and budgets are going down, and that contraction, and there's no jobs. We can't allow Canyon City to go there. We've got to be taking steps forward that allow for more jobs and opportunities, and that's a lot better situation as opposed to the spin down, which I've seen.
100% agree.
Yep. We've both been talking about citizens and citizen involvement, and I'm wondering, based on your long history, have you seen that go in cycles, and just how important do you see citizen involvement, which let me just throw out a definition, which I include not just citizens themselves, but chambers and organizations and other groups that are out there as well. What's your thoughts on that?
Like I was saying earlier about you got to do your time. You got to put in your time. If you're really interested in becoming a part of local government and making a change, you've got to spend time serving on local boards, committees like we have now. You've got to put that time in. I do see it's the same rule. I don't know if it's 80-20 or 90-10, but 10 or 20% of the people do 90 or 80% of the work. And I think that is 100% true. So as a council, it's our job to hear from the community, digest that information, decipher it, and then come out with ideas. So community involvement in local government is absolutely critical. Otherwise, we'd all just be sitting up there just doing whatever we thought we should be doing.
Yep.
So hearing from the community is crucial, but it is also our job to kind of dissect that information and come up with the proper suggestions.
Have you seen in your long history cycles where citizens are more involved and then less involved, and does it go in cycles?
Yeah, it's a little hard to say because I've been involved solid for 20 plus years with one form or another. But when citizens become more involved is when there's a controversial subject. So it's almost like you have to have that controversial subject to get people to then all of a sudden rise up, form an ad hoc committee to try to fight a problem. And then, unfortunately, when the problem is resolved, or maybe it's determined that it can't be resolved, then it kind of just goes back down. So there is that roller coaster of public involvement. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Marilyn, what is the importance of citizen involvement in your opinion?
So it's a huge passion issue with me, actually. One of the things I've seen about Canyon City specifically is we've got a lot of people out there that have huge background and skills that are not really engaged. And I think putting the structure in place so that they can bring their skills to the foreground is just huge. Of course, you and I, we had a water committee meeting last night, neither one of us serving on that, but I was highly impressed with the people that were serving on that committee as far as their backgrounds and everything. And we benefit greatly by having more citizen involvement. So I'm wanting whatever we can do to engage citizens and get them more involved and to provide structure. So it's just not that issue that is the hot button and all of a sudden you have a wave of people and then it dies off, and to have some way that it's more static or more continuous with people's involvement. I think we're going to benefit as a community to do that. And some of it is structure. The other one that I think I as the mayor and you as a council member have a responsibility for, and including maybe city staff, is just passion. That we have a passion for our community, we have a passion for governance, and as a result, it transfers. The more you and I and the rest of the council can lead with passion for our community, I think that transfers and people get more involved. So I think we've all got to be conscious of that as well. Any other thoughts on your part?
I was just going to say, if we weren't passionate about improving our community, why would we do what we do?
I understand.
There is a level of abuse that we take on a daily basis to serve in the public eye.
Right.
So that's why it takes a real certain kind of person to serve in city government as an elected official.
Yeah. The only thing I might push back just a little bit is if that connection isn't there, both sides can get cynical of one another. And I've certainly seen, not this council, but I've seen governments where they get in their closed room and they're cynical towards the citizens, and the citizens are cynical towards the government, and somehow to bridge that so we're actually working together and we lower that cynicism and we can work together. And, you know, we live in a nation that is divided right now, and it's hard not to have that transfer into local government as opposed to just keep it at a national or a state level. And I think part of our job too is to try to lower that temperature and to get people involved who may disagree with one another, but they still want law enforcement and they want to deal with the parks and, you know, good things that are local. And in the politics of national doesn't necessarily fit into that as far as that division. So.
And I do believe Canyon City is a unique town where I always say it's really easy to live here and it's really pleasant to live here. We don't deal with a lot of controversial issues as far as world politics.
Yeah, it's a fantastic place. I agree with you. We're on the same page.
Marilyn, what do you think makes Canyon City unique?
I was down in this area and I knew Canyon City existed, but I hadn't drove down US 50 to come to Canyon City, and I just heard that it existed. And when I finally pulled in Canyon City, I instantly thought, this is a great town. And I don't know what gave me that impression, but it was more than I expected. I'd been to Victor and I've been to Cripple Creek and some other ones, and because I moved to Colorado about 14, 15 years ago now. But this is a great town. And so we've got this valley that is great weather. I'll just start the list if I can do that. We've got fantastic weather. We're the best probably in Colorado. We have right on the edge of the mountains. So if you talk about Estes Park and other places that are the portal into the mountains, Canyon City is one of those. From US 70 and 285 and now US 50 coming across, we're on the edge of that. We have great people. I used to be anonymous here. They've kind of blown that as far as the future at this point. But I really appreciate people coming up and talking. We're friendly. And so the people environment, as I mentioned earlier, we've got people who have just fantastic skills and a life that they've carved, and they came here, and that opportunity is there. I want to hit one more point that I can as far as the uniqueness. My wife and I flew to Washington, D.C. a while back, and we went to Ocean City, Maryland, which is the start of US 50. And we took it all the way across the nation. And US 50, of course, comes through Canyon City. And if you go to Washington, D.C., US 50 is Constitutional Avenue, which goes right beside the White House and between the White House and the Washington Monument. And that's our road. And it goes through St. Louis, and it goes through Nevada, and it's the loneliest road in America is how they promote it. And this highway is coming right through us. And it's, I think, the 4th or 5th longest highway in the United States. And then we've got our river that is the 5th or 6th longest river in the United States. And when we were coming through and crossing the Arkansas a number of times in Kansas, it's got less water there than what we have. And we've got whitewater rafting and the tourism. We live in a place where people come to vacation, and it's just a fantastic place. And again, there's a lot more to that list beyond that, but we've got so many assets, both natural as well as people, that I don't want to say that too much because everybody moves here, but this is a great place.
Agreed. I think it's important we were talking about community involvement. It's important for people to attend meetings, and not just the controversial ones, but come to more than just one a month or every 6 months to understand what exactly we are doing. But in addition to that, try to understand the topics that we're talking about. So something might sound weird, might have a topic that you don't understand. Well, you can do a little research on that topic and know where it's coming from. So just have proper information. And our city website does have a kind of a rumor tab on there, like, what was that called? Have you heard? So if you do hear something, you can probably go to the city website and click on Have You Heard, and it might be addressed there. And if you do have other questions, you can always call City Hall to get clarification if you're getting some misleading information from the public.
Yeah, I think communication is absolutely vital to get messages out. And we've got, various channels with the newspaper, and unfortunately radio is not as active as it was. But to get the word out, and of course we're concerned about city government, of how to make sure the message that is getting out there is accurate. I hear things all the time myself, and I often, just yesterday, texted Ryan, there was a rumor out there, and is this accurate? And we went back and forth on it, and I think citizens need to have the ability to do that as well. And feel free to call City Hall. We want it to be not a barrier between us, but we want it to be part of how our community works, that government is part of that and doing stuff. So I want to thank you, Jerry. I've enjoyed the conversation very much with you. And again, we sit beside each other on the council, and we often don't get a chance to talk as much as what we have there. I want to wish you again happy birthday, and that your golf game is just fantastic, and you can brag and have bragging rights for that.
Someday.
And citizens, if you've listened to our conversation here, we appreciate that, and please keep engaging with us. This is the start of something as opposed to the end of something, to keep us moving forward. And I know other council members are going to be sitting and chatting as well. And so we're excited about that. I give kudos to the city staff and the city administrator and our public information officer and the folks behind the technical. We've got quite the system with cameras here. There's a lot of people involved with this, and it's a very good thing. And the issue is, or the focus is, to try to get more messages out to the community and get us all engaged and working together. And with that, we can make a successful Canyon City that's moving forward. Thank you.
And they staff a number of people in our community that are really housed here, but work out of Denver, work out of the West Coast or East Coast. That's another thing that brings significant income into the area, spendable, discretionary income into the area. So it's a pretty broad concept.
Yeah, you have remote workers that work for Google and Amazon and all of these big companies that you hear about on the news or on TV. You see their advertisements. There's a lot of people that work locally in those tech fields, and they work remotely, and they work right here in Canyon City.
And they start their own businesses. There's a number of businesses that are new startups that are coming out of people who are with IBM and Silicon Valley. There's agriculture, farming is creating new industry now in our community, tech industry in our community. So yeah, they don't just bring their job, they bring their ideas as well. And it's evolving into a lot of recognition for our community. Because that tech growth and that entrepreneurism growth it's recognized around the country really for what's happening here.
There are some cool upcoming events happening at the Library and Museum for the remainder of July, leading up to Colorado Day on August 1st. In addition to their regular weekly programs for children and adults, the Canyon City Public Library will be holding story time at the Royal Gorge Farmers Market on Saturdays at 9 a.m. at the Gateway Depot and Plaza. They will also host a spokes educational workshop at the library on Monday, July 20th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And on Tuesday the 21st, from 10 a.m. to noon, there will be a Dino Bounce Party to celebrate the end of the summer learning program. The Royal Gorge Regional Museum and History Center will hold a historic bike tour beyond downtown on Thursday, July 23rd at 6 p.m. Registration is required. The museum will celebrate Colorado's pioneer spirit for Colorado Day on August 1st by stepping back in time with boots, branding, and beginnings. From 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., this event includes hands-on activities, live demonstrations, and historic experiences. This celebration also takes place alongside the Farmers Market and historic trolley tours at Depot Park, making it a great day to explore and learn about the early days of Canyon City. We hope to see you there.